So the second part of this video, I'm going to discuss 4 ways of getting to that Brazilian citizenship. Brazilian passport gets you the Mercosur access. Don't forget, this is very unique. It gets you access to a very important Latin region. Your Mexican passport does not have Mercosur access. If you want to complement that passport, Brazil is a very interesting option. But before that, let me just break myth. A lot of people talk about how by birth, by having a child in Brazil, just in 1 year, you can actually get citizenship. The process is really, and that is just theoretical stuff, right? But practically, the process is 3 to 4 years. And I wanted to provide my full analysis and clarity in this video, why it takes from 3 to 4 years and not just 1 year. So we're going to deep dive into all of that. But before I get started, if you are unsubscribed to this channel, make sure to turn on the bell notification and subscribe to you get all the practical realities of each program. Theoretical stuff is one thing. A lot of the other channels talk about all the theoretical stuff, right? What's in theory, what's in the books and all of that. Practical realities are very important when you're pursuing plan Bs and residencies. One of the big things I focus on is to keep it practical, keep it real, etc. All right. So now let's take an example, right? Let's take an example. Let's say you're planning a baby and you plan to have it in Brazil. Let's say you're entering Brazil or making plans of going there. It takes at least 3 to 4 months before you actually have a baby in Brazil, right? So you're talking about 4 months right up front. You're going to go 4 months before time, the bare minimum. A lot of people will try to go in earlier, but let's say you do it in 4 or 5 months, whatever it is. Once you're in Brazil, let's say the childbirth takes a month, right? You're not going to go and deliver the child in the next day. It's going to take at least a month for you to get back to normal. Once you have the child, the next step is really applying for the child's documents, the birth certificate, registration, and all those things. Talking about easily a couple of months. It's a bureaucratic process. So you're adding 2 months of time to that. Once you have the documentation, then you're going to start the whole apostille process and collecting all of the documents and then applying for your permanent residence. So yes, having birth in Brazil gives you access to permanent residency. But in order to then collect all that paperwork after the childbirth, you're clearly talking about 2 to 3 months of time. Once you have all the documentations, then you apply for your permanent residency, you and your family. That process could run anywhere from 6 months up to 6 months, sometimes 12 months, depending upon your situation, how complicated it is. It could have happened sooner, but I'm just giving you a practical sense of how long it could take. So let's say it takes 6 to 12 months. So at this point, just in order to get your permanent residency in the first place, you've invested those 4 months, and then 3 months after the childbirth. Then you're talking about applying and then waiting for 6 months or to a year. So you're clearly invested a year or year and a half at this point. Let's say after a year or a year and a half, best case scenario, you get your permanent residency card. This is where the real wait starts of that 1 year. So let's say you spend another year on the permanent residency to then qualify for the Brazilian citizenship. At this point, you've already completed 2 years, right? Now, once you completed the time, you are going to apply for citizenship. That's, if that's your intention. Then you're talking about all the requirements, the tests, and all those things. You got to clear all that, right? So that whole process runs once you apply. Let's say it takes anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. And this is very aggressive time frames, right? There could be some questions. It could hit the shelf. It could take some more time. It's a variable process. So let's say best case scenario. Let's take a realistic scenario here, right? 12 months to get the citizenship done, or sometimes slightly more. So 12 to 14 months, I would say, budget that much time. So you're looking at, adding another year to the mix. So this way you're talking about 3 years in the best case scenario. If any of this takes slightly more time, and even before you apply for citizenship, you're again going to get your documentation, your police records, you reapostille them, then you apply for that citizenship. So you're missing a month or two over there. Let's add that. So it's like 3 years and 2 months to approximately 4 years. So this is how the thing practically works. So no, it's not for 1 year. You don't get citizenship in 1 year. It's more like 3 years to 4 years. But this is the whole by birth situation. Apart from this option, there's natural ways, the 4 ways of getting the Brazilian citizenship, and they all start with residency. Initially, you're going to get the temporary residency. You're going to convert that into permanent residency. Once you're on the permanent residency, you're going to physically live in Brazil and then complete your requirements for citizenship. We work with 2 attorneys in Brazil, get the best from what I have seen in my experience. You can always click the link in the description, book a call with us, and we can discuss these options and get you started with this all important Brazilian residency that leads to citizenship. But let me summarize the 4 ways. The first way is it starts with the least is 28 to 30K USD investments in Brazil. Could be a form of a business that you start. Once you start this, once you do this investment, then you immediately qualify for a residency. This does have residency requirements, and this is the cheapest. It does have some drawbacks. You got to hire people in this. So this is one way. Once you bump up the investments, and let's say the 4th option is the best option. If you've missed the entire detailed coverage and all of this, you can always return and take a look at this video. You can always reach us and we can explain and get you started. But the 4th way is the best way in my opinion, which is 200K or more in property investments. You can do lower investments depending upon the region. Just like the Portugal Golden Visa, you have some opportunity of lowering your investments if you're choosing, the wiser areas in Brazil. But let's say you do the 200K in investment, then you're talking about a flexible residency. Now this residency requires 30 days of time on the ground in Brazil, so it has superb advantages with it, right? You don't get this with some of the other investment forms. So this can get you that flexible residency. If you're talking about citizenship, obviously you got to show some commitments and follow the residency requirements of citizenship. But once you complete 3 years on the permanent residency, then you can qualify for the Brazilian citizenship. Again, more details in that video. So that way you have not just the birth, but you have 4 other ways to qualify for Brazilian citizenship. Alright, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and catch you in the next one.